I was in the hospital enduring the sharp pain of a miscarriage, while he was intimate with his mistress at home. After the divorce, he knelt in the pouring rain all night begging for my forgiveness, but I only felt his hypocrisy. My wealthy husband suffered from a severe stomach condition for years, relying on the special herbal blend I prepared daily for relief. 9 years into our marriage, my husband forgot to accompany me to a prenatal appointment for the 5th time. Enduring the abdominal pain with signs of miscarriage, I sent him the divorce papers. His young girlfriend, tears streaming down her face, said, "It's all my fault. If you had stayed with me, Sarah wouldn't be angry." My husband spoke softly and soothingly to her, but only said to me, "If you want a divorce, fine. Don't regret it." It wasn't until later, when his stomach pain flared up again, that he accidentally came across the special herbal blend formula for his condition. "Why isn't the special herbal blend ready?" David Davis asked as he pushed open the door to come home, clutching his stomach in pain. Normally, whether he was coming home or not, I would spend at least 2 hours preparing the blend of the special herbal blend formula to soothe his stomach. I ignored him, applying a face mask while scrolling on my phone. He frowned, sending me a link to a luxury handbag website, then transferred money, $100,000. On our chat history, the last time he typed something to me was 7 months ago. After that, he would only occasionally buy expensive gifts. Gradually, he couldn't even be bothered to pick gifts. It was just links and transfers. He let me help myself. I couldn't be bothered to reply, so I switched to a puzzle game and casually said, "Remember to make time for the divorce." David Davis was very busy, and I was willing to be flexible with the timing. "Don't make a fuss. Prepare the blend, and I'll make sure to drink it all today." The blend was bitter, and I always had to find ways to get David Davis to drink it. Slowly, drinking the blend obediently became his way of pacifying me. After saying this, he tossed his phone on the sofa and went into the bathroom to wash up. The screen was still on, displaying a photo of his assistant, Chloe, as the lock screen. Below it were 8 pink floral words, "Sweetie, remember your blend." Chloe's family and David Davis's were connected families. At our wedding banquet, she was still young, dressed as a flower girl, and said in a sweet voice, wishing David and Sarah a lifetime of happiness. In the blink of an eye, she had grown up. Not long after returning from studying overseas, she became her David's personal assistant. David had become David, and the little flower girl had become the young girlfriend. I wasn't upset about Chloe's infatuation with David Davis. It takes two to tango. If he had known his boundaries, there wouldn't be a young girlfriend that everyone in the city knew about. David Davis came out wrapped in a bath towel, unlocked his phone, and smiled indulgently when he saw the lock screen. His stomach started hurting again. He furrowed his brows and looked at me with a hint of disgust. Maybe he was annoyed I hadn't prepared the blend. Just using a lock screen to remind him to remember the blend earned her his indulgence and tenderness. In 9 years of marriage, I never forgot to spend 2 hours preparing the blend for him, not even during postpartum recovery. Yet, the marital affection had faded, replaced entirely by impatience and disgust in his eyes. I pretended not to see his look, stretched dramatically, and turned my head away so he wouldn't see the slight moisture in the corners of my eyes. "Chloe is picking up Lily tomorrow," he said, replying to messages without looking up. Lily was my daughter, but Chloe always liked to act like the lady of the house, often picking her up without telling anyone. Once, I couldn't reach Lily on her phone and was so worried I called the police. Afterward, David Davis flared up at me, thinking I was making a big deal out of nothing. Shaking my head, I dispersed the unpleasant memories. I smiled. "All right, tell Miss Chloe I said thank you." David Davis seemed stung. After a moment of silence, he exploded in rage. "Sarah, don't always push my limits." I curled up, making myself more comfortable. "By the way, Don't worry about a pregnant woman not being able to get a divorce. I had a miscarriage. David Davis never accompanied me to any of the 5 prenatal appointments. He did drop me off halfway to the 4th one, but then Chloe called. Her dog was scheduled for dog spaying, and she was anxious. A dog spaying was obviously not as important as my prenatal appointment, but Chloe was more important than me. Enduring the abdominal pain, I took a rideshare to the hospital. The doctor said there was a risk of miscarriage, and I was also in danger. Recently, David Davis had been busy accompanying Chloe to meet her elders, so naturally, he didn't remember the date of my 5th prenatal appointment. It was probably for the best. This time, for my own safety, I chose medical termination. In the living room, David Davis clenched his fist, silent for a long time after hearing the news. He knew I'd gone to all the prenatal appointments alone, so he had no right to blame me for anything, but his tone was mocking. Good. If you can't be a good wife, how can you be a good mother? I smiled, ready to go back to my room to sleep, leaving him with just one sentence: "You're right. I can't be a good mother, so I deserve this miscarriage." David Davis and I met when we were young. The beginning of our love story wasn't dramatic. He said he was happy the moment he saw me. At the time, I was shy and thought he was handsome. In college, under pressure from his family, he went to study overseas. I stayed back home for school, my days uneventful in dorms, classrooms, and libraries. Because he was dating a G. IRL from a poor family like mine, his family cut off his allowance. He didn't compromise, scraping together enough from his scholarship for a trip back home every 2 months, which led to his severe stomach condition. He liked the rice noodles I cooked from the South. I was concerned about his severe stomach condition and wouldn't add chili, but he would secretly drink the spicy broth I left behind. I found a special herbal blend formula to treat his severe stomach condition and prepared the blend for him. He would laugh and lick the soot from my face, both moved and heartbroken. After college, he returned back home. That year, my mother passed away at the hospital due to complications from a late pregnancy. My father, who had longed for a son his entire life, got drunk at the hospital, screaming curses at my mother's body and then beating me. David Davis, surrounded by my uncles, beat my father. My father was left with a limp, and David Davis had a cut on his back. I cried while applying medicine to him. He turned and kissed me. He said he would never do something that would put his woman in danger just for a child. He said if he could, he wished I wouldn't have children, that I would always be healthy and safe. That night, I gave myself to him, because I wanted to give him a child. We said a lot of sweet things when we were young. Now, he had forgotten even the most basic prenatal appointments necessary for my health. A week after moving out of the Davis mansion, I went back to the hospital for a follow-up appointment. I asked questions very carefully, afraid of leaving any lingering health issues. The doctor prescribed some herbs to replenish blood and qi and also thanked me. "Miss Sarah, the special herbal blend formula you provided to the hospital last time for treating severe stomach conditions has been very effective." I knew it was effective. David Davis had a privileged constitution, and his health needed very careful management. The formula I had perfected over years of dealing with his illness couldn't possibly be bad. When I went to pick up the blend, I ran into Chloe. She was full of manipulative sweetness, advising me to take care of myself and saying David Davis had accompanied her to the hospital for a dental appointment today. I ignored her. I felt that her act was so transparent, everyone could see right through her, which was almost a public service. "What are you doing here?" To my surprise, it was David Davis who spoke. His expression was particularly unpleasant. I was a little curious. With Chloe around, when would I ever see him looking angry like this? "When are you going to stop making a fuss and move back?" David Davis always thought it was my fault, speaking as if giving an order. I covered the paperwork in my hand, not wanting to engage with him. But he snatched the paperwork, and his face grew even darker. Today is your prenatal appointment. It's a follow-up? Why didn't you tell me? Sarah, talk to me. How long are you going to keep this up? He still thought my moving out of the mansion was just a way to make a fuss, that I couldn't bear to leave him, a tactic to attract his attention. I couldn't stand his tone and politely gestured for him to move aside. Mr. Davis, this is a hospital. Please don't make a scene. He lowered his voice and asked Chloe, didn't I ask you to check Sarah's follow-up appointment time? Why didn't you remind me? Chloe's face was full of shock and panic. I forgot too. I shook my head, truly not wanting to watch any more of their performance. I took the blend and walked out quickly. As I turned the corner to leave, I saw Chloe shaking David Davis frantically through the glass. David Davis, meanwhile, stood rooted in front of the notice board, staring at it motionlessly. I had been a stay-at-home wife for many years, but my work abilities hadn't diminished. A new job, a new place to live, a new life. Everything was moving in a good direction. On the day get my lawyer to prepare the divorce lawsuit, David Davis called. I hung up. It rang again. I hung up. It rang again. I blocked his number and sent him a message. Talk to my lawyer. Soon after, the lawyer told me David Davis's lawyer had arranged a meeting at a private dining room. When I arrived, I didn't see either lawyer, but I found David Davis's entire family there. Lily looked at me timidly, sitting next to Chloe. My heart ached, but I also felt a surge of anger. David Davis, where are the lawyers? David Davis stood up, then sat back down. He said flatly, today is a family dinner. We're not discussing other matters. A family dinner? Why bring an assistant to a family dinner? I was instantly annoyed. David Davis looked at me and said softly, Lily is here too. I had already thought about Lily. It was true that a child growing up in a single-parent family was regrettable. But how could a child grow up healthily in a family with unhappy parents? But in front of Lily, I held back. My eyes welled up, and I stroked Lily's face. After not seeing her for so long, my 7-year-old daughter's eyes held both happiness and a hint of fear. Chloe put an arm around Lily and looked at me with a touch of provocation. Lily, tell Sarah what your piano teacher taught you recently? At this, the entire Davis family looked at Chloe with approval. As David Davis's personal assistant, Chloe was involved in all of Lily's affairs. I knew that in the eyes of the Davis family, a young lady from a prestigious family like Chloe was the only one fit to raise a Davis child. Mrs. Davis was even worse. She resented me for supposedly inciting David Davis to turn against the family, never thinking I had any proper upbringing, and constantly making things difficult. Before, for Lily and David Davis, I had swallowed my pride and endured. Chloe put Lily down and handed David Davis a paper package, saying in a cute, squeezed voice, David, ahem, Mr. Davis, you saw the notice board ABO. UT the special herbal blend formula for severe stomach conditions at the hospital and were very interested. I made a few trips specifically and bought quite a bit. David Davis glanced at me, holding the special herbal blend paper package in his hand, and paused for a moment. The Davis family naturally showered Chloe with another round of praise and compliments. I squatted down and spoke quietly with Lily. I didn't care about her studies or piano. I only cared if she was happy and healthy. Lily's right hand was clenched into a fist, and her left index finger gently scratched my arm, her eyes full of caution. A surge of anger immediately rose in my heart. I knew this was a sign of the child's emotional distress and need for reassurance. Lily's life, studies, and free time were all managed by Chloe. What kind of fright had this 7-year-old child experienced to be so cautious even in front of her mother? David Davis. Lily's education is mine from now on. Tears welled in my eyes as I hugged Lily close. Lily also clung tightly to my arm. Sarah, what kind of upbringing do you have? Do you think you're fit to teach my Davis family's child? Before David Davis could speak, Mrs. Davis spoke sharply. David Davis's face darkened. He stood up and stared into my eyes. What kind of scene are you trying to make now? Chloe looked contemptuous, not missing an opportunity for manipulative sweetness. Sarah, if you think I'm wrong, you can just. David Davis suddenly turned and snapped at her. Shut up! He was clearly furious, looking at me with inexplicable emotion. Sarah! What on earth possessed David to cause a scene like this? When will you ever be a mother who isn't crazy? A wife who isn't unreasonable? I had not intended to argue with him at all, but today, the anger buried within me for years was completely ignited. I looked at him, thinking back on my former hopes and all my current disappointment and despair. My chest was tight with emotion. Do you want to see what a truly crazy mother is like? What a truly unreasonable wife is like? David Davis squeezed his hand hard, and the special herbal blend bag burst open. All the herbs I was so familiar with spilled out, scattering across the table. David, please don't be like this. You're scaring me. Let's talk properly. Chloe tugged at David Davis's sleeve, looking utterly pathetic. Who wouldn't feel sympathy for her? But I wouldn't. I picked up the scattered special herbal blend from the table and poked the dried herb branches directly at Chloe's face. Don't know how to shut up? Do I need to teach you? Chloe was terrified by me and hid behind David Davis, not daring to say anything else. This naturally triggered David Davis's protective instincts. That's enough. Sarah, put that down. Why are you threatening her? At least she put effort into my severe stomach condition. What about you? If you had cared a little more about me and the family, Chloe wouldn't have to be so busy. David Davis's words completely stung me. I sneered. I didn't care enough about you, but did you care about me? If you had cared about me, how could you not recognize these herbs? They're the ones I painstakingly prepared for your severe stomach condition day and night back then. You've been drinking this formula every day. Did Chloe really need to run to the hospital to get it? The Davis family was surprised to see me suddenly stand up for myself. Mrs. Davis looked as if she had finally caught me red-handed, accusing David Davis that I had been hiding my true nature for years and finally shown my foxtail. At this point, I didn't mind bearing such accusations. Anyway, there was no need for me to continue enduring silently. The only thing I couldn't let go of was my daughter. I squatted down and asked Lily if she wanted to come with me. Lily timidly looked at Chloe. Chloe immediately showed a smug expression and held out her hands to Lily. Lily, come to me. You have piano class today, Sa. Ra. Shall I take you to practice? Her soft, sweet words earned praise from everyone. But the only unexpected thing was Lily's sudden sharp cry. She turned and clung to my legs, refusing to let go. I don't want to go to piano practice. I want to go with Mom. My eyes welled up. After all, she was my daughter. Even though she was usually controlled by the Davis family and I rarely saw her, she still regarded me as her last refuge. I patted Lily's head to comfort her and demanded to know what Chloe had done to my daughter. Chloe obviously couldn't tell the truth. She rattled off denials and excuses. I turned to ask David Davis. You say I don't care enough about my daughter, but what about you? Do you know why Lily reacts so strongly to piano practice? David Davis hadn't spoken until then. When I asked him, he snapped out of it and said, it's normal for kids to want to avoid things when they find them hard. Don't make a big deal out of nothing here. I picked up Lily and placed the divorce papers I had prepared earlier on the table. Then let's say I'm making a big deal out of it. I absolutely will not let my daughter be in any environment that could harm her healthy development. That day, I firmly took Lily away. When we got home, I saw the bruises hidden under Lily's clothes. After I comforted her several times, she finally told me that Chloe would hit her for any small mistake, always in places that wouldn't be seen. Chloe was too eager to prove to the Davis family that she could raise outstanding Davis descendants, so she didn't allow Lily to make any mistakes. I held Lily, full of regret. If I had been stronger earlier, maybe this wouldn't have happened. The next day, I took Lily out of school for the day and called my friend Jessica, whom I hadn't seen in a while, to take Lily to an amusement park. The Davis family never allowed her to go to such places, thinking it was wasting time on frivolous things, but I thought this was what a child's childhood show old be like. Jessica and I watched Lily ride the carousel from below. Seeing her happy face, I finally felt at ease. But clearly, Jessica hadn't fully processed the changes that had happened to me overnight. Are you really going to divorce David Davis? You were so in love back then, how did you get to this point? Jessica and I were college classmates. She knew everything that had happened back then. Precisely because she knew, she couldn't understand how David Davis had changed so much. People change. Only I was stuck in place. And I should move forward now. He's just a jerk. Don't worry, I'll introduce you to someone better, sis. Jessica patted her chest confidently. My phone rang repeatedly. It was David Davis, but I hung up each time. Finally, David Davis called Jessica's phone. Jessica, unaware, answered the phone and then awkwardly handed it to me. How did he know I was with Jessica? I took the phone, and David Davis's voice came through. Lily should be at school today, not wasting time on frivolous things at an amusement park like you. See? Just as I said. Are you tracking me? I'm just worried you can't take care of Lily. It seems I was right. You're not suitable to be a mother. Send Lily back to Chloe. I felt like I was hearing a huge joke. So, making a child happy is not taking care of her, but beating her until she's covered in bruises is? I hung up on David Davis, picked up my own phone, and sent him photos of Lily's injuries. David Davis didn't reply. I couldn't be bothered with him and continued with my new life as planned. My new job was going smoothly, and it gave me more time to hang out with Jessica. We took Lily out together, and she became much more cheerful. With Lily's agreement, I let her go back to school, which also gave me more time. A new Ethan joined the company. He was young and obedient, following me around every day calling me Sarah. He had just graduated from college and would blush every time he talked to me. Even my Ubter dared to tease him. I heard he studied music in college and had a lot in common with Lily. Only when talking about music would he shed his usual shyness. Jessica said he must have a crush on me and wanted to be Lily's stepfather. I waved it off, thinking it wasn't possible. How old was he? My child was already 8. How could I hold him back? Besides, that guy, David Davis, why hasn't he signed the divorce papers yet? I complained to Jessica. Life without having to take care of a man was great. I was really impatient. 6. Note, the original text has a repeated 6 here. I will treat this as a continuation of the narrative. David Davis delayed for 2 weeks before finally coming to find me with Chloe. I was on my way to pick up Lily from school when David Davis blocked the doorway, dragging Chloe with him to apologize to me. Chloe is too young and doesn't know how to handle children. She did some excessive things. I brought her here to apologize to you. I don't know how David Davis scolded Chloe, but it was the first time I'd seen such an unwilling expression on that woman's face. She reluctantly apologized to me, begging for my forgiveness, repeating the same few sentences until my ears were tired of hearing them. Are you done? If you're done, you can leave. I need to go pick up my daughter. I was about to leave when David Davis grabbed my hand. Sarah. He held on to me but didn't speak for a while, looking hesitant in a way I hadn't seen in years. When we first got together, he would always try to gauge my mood like this, guessing if I was happy or sad, or if he had done anything to upset me. Later, David Davis became the decisive and efficient Mr. Davis, treating me no differently than his subordinates. It was always my turn to guess his mood. Now he was acting like this again. For whose benefit? I shook off David Davis's hand and walked straight to the garage. Chloe was very unhappy with my attitude. She ran up and stopped me. David has something to say to you, can't you tell? How can you treat him like this? Shut up. David Davis interrupted Chloe's incessant chatter. This is none of your business. Chloe had clearly never been put in his place like this by David Davis before. I guess she hadn't been doing well lately, as David Davis had likely blamed her a lot because of Lily. But she probably never expected David Davis would scold her for me. Even I couldn't figure out what game David Davis was playing now. David, I just can't stand how she's treating you. She has no idea what you've been going through these past few days. This is between my wife and me. It has nothing to do with you. The word wife stung Chloe. She took 2 steps back, biting her lip, and left crying. I was about to ask David Davis if he wasn't going after her when my phone rang. It was my lovely Ethan. He anxiously told me on the phone that Lily was missing. 7. Ethan got off work early today, thinking of bringing Lily a gift, so he came to the school to wait. But unexpectedly, all the students were gone, and she still hadn't come out. He arrived early and knew I couldn't have arrived yet, so he went to Lily's class to ask Teacher Johnson. He was told Lily had left a long time ago. I rushed to the school. Ethan stood beside Teacher Johnson, pacing anxiously. Is there any news about Lily? Teacher Johnson shook his head, so we had to split up to search. David Davis also came with me. When he heard Lily was missing, his first reaction was to accuse me. But I grabbed his collar and said in a fierce tone he had never seen before, if anything happens to Lily, you will be the first person I won't forgive. I knew I was being unfair, but I had seen my daughter only a handful of times over the years. If I had seen her more often, understood her better, maybe I could have guessed where she would go when she disappeared. David Davis stayed with me the whole time, having his people search the entire city for Lily. But this made me even more afraid. I was afraid the Davis family would find Lily before me. If that happened, I would lose my daughter forever. But fortunately, the first person to find Lily was Ethan. She was locked in an abandoned shed at the school by a group of mischievous kids. Lily had been knocking and calling for help, but because the location was remote, no one had come to rescue her until Ethan heard her. This wasn't the first time this had happened, but usually those kids would let her out before school ended to avoid being discovered. They just forgot today. I asked Lily if she had told David Davis about this. Lily told me David Davis was too busy to care about such things, and Chloe just told her not to cause trouble. If I hadn't been spending time with her recently, giving her the courage to seek help, she didn't know how long she would have been locked in there. The fact that this could happen was absolutely related to the teacher's negligence in managing the students. I demanded the school handle those so-called mischievous children. David Davis was displeased with my making such a big fuss. He thought it wasn't something to be publicized and should be handled privately. But I refused. I said to David Davis, it's because you couldn't protect her that this happened. You have no right to make demands of me. After saying that, I took Lily away. 8. After leaving, I took Lily to the hospital. The long-term school bullying had caused her severe psychological trauma. I gave the hospital diagnosis to my lawyer and filed a lawsuit with the court, arguing that David Davis was incapable of properly caring for Lily. I was granted custody of my daughter and also received my divorce certificate from David Davis. My 9-year long-term relationship with David Davis had reached its end at that moment. When I received the divorce certificate, I realized I felt nothing at all. My feelings for him had already worn away over the years. Ethan was waiting for me outside the court, holding a bouquet of flowers to give me. A bunch of sunflowers, representing hope and new beginnings. It was too obvious now to pretend I didn't see his feelings. He was very good to me and attentive to Lily, but I had no intention of accepting him. From any perspective, I didn't plan to start a new romantic relationship. I took the flowers from Ethan and joked, "Are you sending me these? What am I supposed to do with them? Feed the birds?" Although Ethan was shy, he was smart. He understood my rejection but didn't say anything. He just said he had another gift for Lily and invited her to go to a musical together during the summer break. When he said this, he nervously licked his lips. I knew he was trying to ask me out, but I shook my head, refusing Ethan on Lily's behalf. I had promised Lily I would take her on a trip during the summer break to heal the wounds on her heart and to live it up after my soul withered over 9 years for David Davis. I was finally free. I needed to live it up. 9. But I had underestimated David Davis. He was not someone easily dealt with. Mr. Davis, who has a lot of influence, got hold of Lily's medical records and, pointing to the doctor's diagnosis, used the doctor's recommendation for Lily to have warm family care as a reason to try and get me back. I cursed the doctor 100 times in my head for being unethical and revealing patient privacy so casually, but since he was Lily's father, it seemed to comply with regulations. I didn't know what on earth possessed David to cause a scene like this. Why abandon his young, beautiful assistant and come begging for forgiveness from me, someone past my prime? But David Davis stood at my door, looking utterly exhausted, as if the recent days had suddenly stripped him of his glory. He was no longer the high and mighty CEO in front of me. Instead, he had returned to how he was when we first started dating, shy and sweet, just like Ethan. He was the David Davis who would save up money. Why not eating for 2 months just to come see me? He was the David Davis who would put thought into things for me and worry if he had made me angry. Sarah, I know it's my fault. I shouldn't have been so busy with work and neglected you. Will you give me another chance? David Davis, people need to move forward. My divorce from you wasn't a sudden impulse. Our feelings for each other worn away long ago. Your current discomfort is just because you haven't gotten used to it yet. As for me, I got used to living like this a long time ago, in your neglect. David Davis, you don't need to get back together, you need to get used to it. Looking at David Davis, I felt he was very much like I was when I first realized he didn't love me anymore. He still thought we could get back together, simply because he mistakenly believed he still had feelings for me, unwilling to accept the fact that he had already changed. Lily is in a state where she also needs a father. Give me a chance. Give Lily a chance, okay? I really can't lose you. But she never had your fatherly love in the first place. Losing and having makes no difference to her, does it? As for whether you can lose me, what does that have to do with me? But Lily peeked out from inside the house, looking timidly at David Davis, clutching my leg and showing signs of aggression towards David Davis. She was protecting me. You see? Lily and I are both not welcome to you. You can leave. I closed the door, but I knew David Davis wouldn't leave easily. These past few days, every time I've gone out, I've seen David Davis waiting downstairs, but he just watches from afar and doesn't come any closer. Because I told him he wasn't welcome here. It's quite funny. Before, he ignored everything I said, but now he hung on my every word. 10. Jessica told me that the entire Davis group was in chaos because David Davis wasn't going to work and was showing up here every day. Mrs. Davis was furious. To them, I, a mother with a child, had become the cause of his ruin. Chloe came every day to try and persuade David Davis to leave, but David Davis wouldn't even look at her now. Chloe, out of options, came to the company to corner me, asking how long I intended to torment David Davis. I never intended to torment him. Isn't all of this his own choice? Just like me back then, his attitude towards me was so clear, yet I willingly endured by his side, hoping he still loved me. My attitude towards him is also very clear now. If he insists on staging a dramatic display, it's just his own doing. When Chloe heard this, she went crazy. She cursed at me like a madwoman, trying to pounce on me and hit me. I called security to restrain her and couldn't be bothered to listen to her accusations, which were probably just her resentment about what right do I have to have a place in his heart, and why she couldn't compare to me. What did that have to do with me? Too little, too late. Chloe was dragged away, and my ears finally had some peace and quiet. Outside, the sky was turning gray, seeming to indicate rain. When I got home, it was raining the hardest. David Davis stood at the door, looking soaked to the bone, and asked if I could let him stay. 11, I said, dream on. I walked past David Davis and closed the door. Jessica was waiting for me at home. We had planned to have takeout tonight, and the rain outside made it even more fitting. David Davis is outside. Aren't you going to do anything? Why should I? Are we supposed to share our food with him? Is this even enough for just you? I asked Jessica. Jessica burst out laughing and said I did well, that I should treat David Davis exactly like this. I didn't really have any particular desire for revenge, I just couldn't be bothered with him. What's more important than takeout? But I hadn't expected that if I didn't let David Davis in, he would actually stand outside in the rain all night. In the morning, when I was seeing Jessica out, I tripped over. Are the person slumped by the door? David Davis lay at the entrance, his brows tightly furrowed, his eyes shut tight, his hand fiercely clutching his stomach. I didn't know if he was dead or just dead to the world. I bent down and touched his forehead, it was burning hot. Jessica and I together dragged him into the house. Then I had Jessica take Lily out to play. I didn't want the sick person infecting my daughter. David Davis woke up while I was out buying medicine. When I came home, he was dragging his sick body, cleaning up the mess from our meal from last night. Are you planning to die in my house so I'll be responsible? Faced with my words, David Davis was at a loss. He was holding a plate with congealed grease, not knowing whether to put it down or not. I just wanted to help share some of the burden. He used to say that, back when he was overseas and I was back home. To catch up to him, I considered applying to schools overseas, studying hard late into the night every day. He would also want to do some chores, and then, surrounded by a bathroom full of soap bubbles, tell me he wanted to share some of the burden for me. 9 years had passed, and his skill at doing chores hadn't improved at all. No need. The greatest help you can give me is to leave my house immediately. I don't have anywhere to go right now. Can you take me in? Look at that, Mr. Davis acting like a stray dog in front of me. You have nowhere to go? Mother is very unhappy with me. She said if I can't resolve my marriage problem, I shouldn't come home anymore. Only David Davis would think that the marriage problem Mrs. Davis was talking about included me. Even at this point, that woman would never accept me as her daughter-in-law. But I still said to David Davis, all right. Then don't go back. 12. David Davis's eyes lit up at this. He quickly cleared everything off the table, wiped his hands, and asked what I wanted to eat. I tossed the blend at him and told him to take ca. Re of himself first. David Davis stayed at my place for 3 days. During these 3 days, he did everything a father and husband should do, and even more. If he had done this before the divorce, I'd probably be laughing in my sleep. But now, watching him trying to win me over, I felt no ripple of emotion at all. But seeing how happy Lily was, I still asked her if she still wants a father. But Lily hugged me and said she didn't care. She knew what her father had done before. She only wanted me to be happy. I kissed Lily and promised her that even just by myself, I would give her the best. On the 5th day, I stopped David Davis as he was about to leave and gave him some money. David Davis looked confused. I told him it was payment for taking care of you while you were sick for cleaning up these past 2 days. Why? I let you stay as payment for taking care of you while you were sick. I was quite busy the following days, so I let you stay an extra 2 days. This is your pay. Any problem? David Davis didn't reply for a long time. Lily had already come out pushing a suitcase bigger than her, ready to leave. Ethan and Jessica were waiting at the door. I opened the door and said to David Davis, who was standing frozen in place, "Hurry up, I'm locking the door." "Where are you going?" Ethan picked up Lily and pushed my suitcase. "To the airport, right, Lily?" David Davis panicked. He ran up and pointed at Ethan, demanding, "Is it because of him? Is that why you don't want to get back together with me? Crazy." I brushed David Davis's hand away and got into the rideshare I had called earlier. Ethan put my suitcase in the trunk for me. David Davis chased after us, grabbing the car door, trying to pull me out. Ethan grabbed his wrist and pushed him away. "Sarah, are you leaving?" I ignored him and told the driver to go. I could see David Davis following in his car behind us. Jessica asked me if I wasn't moved at all. I shook my head. The time when I needed him is over. What good is anything he does now? I have to move forward, right? When we got to the airport, David Davis followed me the entire way. Every time he tried to come forward, Ethan blocked him. After I went through security, I looked at David Davis outside the security checkpoint and finally said what I had wanted to say all along. "Goodbye, David Davis." I turned and walked away, leaving David Davis weeping openly behind me. Lily asked me why I didn't tell him we were just going on a trip. I said, "You don't need to explain everything to everyone. Before taking care of their feelings, we need to first love ourselves." The end.